Okay, time to talk about a thing that apparently happened.
Possibly news.
It's possible news, yes.
I was surfing on the Pojo, as I do, and I found a thread that mentioned that at a recent team tournament, there was a petition going around for a new rule to be added to Vanguard. One that we really want to be added.
Especially me, because this rule would have prevented me from being Jewed at the last World Regional.
You probably would have topped.
I would have topped. My only loss was against the guy who went undefeated into the top 8.
Yeah, didn't he get like...
He won.
Yeah, he won.
Tournaments.
But yeah, the new rule that was being petitioned was if you are grade stuck, after you draw a card, show your opponent your hand to confirm that you are indeed grade stuck. Take 2 of your cards, put them back in the deck, and then look for 1 card that will relieve you of your grade stuckness. And then shuffle your deck.
Yes. This, well, it might have to be turned around here or there based on, you know, what works for this or what works for that. Whether it works during the match or whether it's an opening hand thing like Pokemon does. This is the thing that this game needs, especially since the tournaments are best of 1. Because no one wants to go through this kind of tournament, get decently far, and then close to the top 8. Oh crap! I only have grade 1s and triggers in my hand, and I am not seeing any 2s. Oh, I got some 3s, but where are the 2s? Damn it! Where are the 2s? And then you lose, even though you got them to 5 damage because they freaking don't know how to play this game, but because you couldn't get yourself past your perfect guard, you lose. Yeah, as you probably could tell, and you'll probably hear me say it off and on for eternity, not being able to make sure you ride properly in a game is a real dick thing to happen. Whether it happens to you a lot or not out there, for those of you who have it happen to them a lot, you know exactly what I'm talking about. This sort of stuff is dumb, and it's the one of I think 2 blemishes on this game that I can really think of, all in all.
Yeah, grade stuck and trigger
sec. Luck and the trigger sec, but the trigger sec you can't do a thing about, and I wouldn't mind that as much if it weren't for the other thing.
Yeah. Being
grade locked. And if this sort of rule does get through, at least for the English edition at least, then that probably will be a thing of the past. Sure, you'll minus yourself a card in hand, but it's worth it to make sure you're not, you know, getting to 3, which is very important.
A lot of people were actually suggesting a lot of variations on this rule that I thought were interesting. One person just suggested that instead of starting with 5 cards in hand, we start off with 7, and then if your initial hand is grade stuck, discard 2 of those cards you drew in order to get another card. Yeah,
it's getting more like Pokemon style. It's, you know, you start with 7 and then you get a chance to mulligan. They take it a step further and you take a step back by letting you mulligan constantly after that. But every time you do, your opponent has the option to draw a card.
Yeah.
That could be a problem. That could not be a problem depending on what it is. I remember a few years ago there was a Pokemon deck that actually took advantage of that mulligan rule. I think it had 4 Mewtwo, and that was it. And since you can't, you know, officially start until you have any basic Pokemon, you know, and you keep on getting Mewtwo's, they keep on having to draw they keep getting a chance to draw their cards, and most people will. So by the time you finally get in there, they're like low on cards in deck. So all their fancy trainer cards that they use to find the cards they're looking for are probably in their hand, and therefore they can't use them because they'll deck themselves out.
That is devious.
Yep, I think it was also done with a Durant deck. Because there's a Durant that could mill for each Durant in your bench, I think it was. So they would intentionally do it to make them draw their cards because they're banking on them being greedy, and then screw them for it. But I don't think we have a whole lot of things that do that in this game, so the abuse isn't as real.
Yeah. I know some people are really worried that it would affect ride chains, and
well, here's the thing about ride chains. Sugihomi's like the only good one.
Yeah. That, or they also were saying, like, World Line Dragon would get affected. And personally, I don't think that's as much a problem. you can still use World Line. Because it's like, oh, I have 5 reverses in my hand, might as well discard one in order to get something else. It's like, World Line isn't going to be hit that much, especially since he's in a Glendios deck, or if you're me, Halcyon.
There's only one thing I would add to this rule. It can only go up to grade 3. Because the ability to just look for Vague means that even putting him down to 2, when he gets too annoying that he has to be dealt with, won't be enough. Because then he's like, well, I don't have a 4 in my hand. I'm going to search, discard 2 cards, search my deck for Vague, and ride them. Sorry.
Yeah, it should be up to 3.
Yeah, so, I mean, that would be one thing I would do. Because last thing we need is give Vague more of an advantage.
Vague, please get banned to 2.
He won't. Nothing stays banned forever except for the other grade 4 that bans himself.
Yeah. So, I forget what other variations I saw. I'm trying to think of some. I know some people said that instead of putting the cards back in the deck, you should discard them.
Discarding works, too, in certain cases. I don't think there's really a good way to decide that. If we had Gauge, we would. Because I think about it, there might be people who want to throw their cards away, like Granblue.
And me.
Yeah, you. Musketeers would like it.
Yeah, 9 cards in order to use your Legion.
So, I mean... Yeah, I like the idea.
I do too. Like, I know we've been mulling over how this should be done, and it's usually like, do you start with a 1, 2, and 3 in hand, or like, how do you do this without like destroying? And my always thing was like, well, now ride chains and certain like searchers are gonna be hit pretty bad, but
oh freaking well.
Yeah, but this way I think it doesn't hit them as much. I think the only thing that does get hit is grade 3 searchers, and it's like some decks you still want to be able to look for your grade 3 more.
Sometimes you want extra 3s, even though the ride chains won't be as necessary. It's better to have consistent riding anyway, because you don't want to have to drop an extra card to replace a card in one card in your hand, effectively. Basically, negging a card in your hand to ride.
Mm-hmm.
Which is, you know, fine by me. I mean, I once in a match used Goyusha just to get myself to grade 3, because I was like, I'm not doing this anymore. And I was like, that's it, I'm going to Dayusha.
Yeah, I really, really want this to be an actual rule. It is, like, this is, like, the best solution to this problem I've ever heard.
Without that one thing taken in the way, it really only means Vanguard has one real problem, and it's not even that big of a problem, because without it, the game would be super slow.
Yep. Triggers!
Yep, so I'm fine with that, though. Like, I don't want a repeat of what happened last time.
Being stuck at chocolate is not fun.
Yep, chocolate, it would be, oh my god, cannot hit anything, and takes every single hit imaginable, because perfect guards are like that. So, and if this actually becomes a real rule, and it happens before the next thing, I'll be like, praise the Lord. We don't have to deal with stupid. That's all I got. It's just don't have to deal with stupid.
This actually, I think, would be kind of funny. Because it might make Persona Blasters more valuable, since it's like, oh, I'm stuck at 3, but now I can still have my grade 3 searchers look for more Personas.
Grade 3 searchers are still really crap for the most part. There's only a couple decks that want them.
Yeah.
And that's things that need multiple 3s. In fact, that's probably the only real thing that we'll ever actually see, is that you'll probably see people using less grade 3s. Yeah. As a result. That's probably the only problem. And
that was another thing people were arguing about. They're like, that means you could mess with your deck ratios a ton. And it's like, so?
It's like, well, it could be a viable problem with Legion. That's not, you know, that big of a deal, because a lot of the times you'll probably want to rewrite, because some of these Legions have, when they're Legioned, they can do this or that. And since one guy can, and since one particular card can Legion only once, you need to rewrite to keep doing it. Heck, Sting Saver, or Sing Saver, whatever you want to call it, Assembly Saver Dragon, there you go. You want to run for it anyway. Heck, Elliot runs 4. And you know, some people like having an auxiliary Vanguard for the sake of there might be a time where you'll want to run a different guy. Anything that uses Soul Saver will obviously be using something other than Soul Saver so that they can ride it, you know, it before they ride Soul Saver.
Mm-hmm.
Like, having 8 grade 3s isn't the end of the world. There has never been a set rule that you actually have to use 8 plus or whatever. It's just, if you want to see it, you have to. It just only really means is you gotta change your ratios. And is that really a bad thing? If it makes the game be more consistent?
I don't think so.
Consistency is really good. It's not
I
something
just
one should
realized
knock.
this rule would be really funny with Halcyon if you used a really low, like, grade 2 ratio. It's like, oh, I only run 4 grade 2s.
That's another one right there. Sure, Kaiser Deck literally will, and the other Kaiser, Die Kaiser, both will still be using like 10 or 12 because they need to drive check those precious 3s.
Yep.
Like, you'll have different decks. It just means that now ratios aren't conforming to one particular version.
We don't need your conformism!
So, hopefully this will be something that will be taken into account. Hopefully Bushiroad won't screw the pooch this time and actually do the right thing and take this into consideration.
Bushiroad, if you're watching, please make this a thing. If I could sign that petition, I would.
I might even start one at ASEN.
We should start a website. Facebook group!
Either way, gotta try to get that to Bushiroad. Try to support this kind of petition. It might be a big change, but you know, this might be a big change worth having. Because maybe some of you know exactly what we're talking about. Maybe some of you are sacks and never get grade locked in your life.
In that case, we hate you.
JK. But seriously, that it's like a lot of people know the pain of getting locked, especially in tournaments. And yeah, I know you because you weren't even able to get anywhere because you got locked.
I was out in the second
Grid,
round.
Yep, grid locked so many times.
That was my first tournament.
So yeah, this is something to, you know, try to make change for the better, especially after all the crap that's been happening with Bushiroad and the last month or so. This would be a good thing.
Yeah, Bushiroad, if you've been screwing up a lot, don't Capcom this.
Hopefully they won't. So till next time, everybody, we might not be able to do Buddy Fight on time or Vanguard on time due to ASEN, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah, most likely we'll be doing some videos there.
Why do you always have to tell people things that may or may not happen?
Okay, that's why I said maybe.
Anyway, see you till next time, everybody.